Listen to me closely. We need to have a serious talk about what happens immediately after a fight with your wife or girlfriend. And I'm telling you right now, no sugarcoating. She will not make peace first. That is the reality. You can sit there waiting for her to cool down, waiting for that magical moment of clarity when she realizes she was wrong. But let me open your eyes, my friend. You will be waiting until you are grey and bald. This is the harsh truth that 98% of men do not understand. They sit there like naughty puppies, waiting for their owner to forgive them for peeing on the rug. You know what I see everywhere online? All these relationship experts. These coaches with their perfect, glued-on smiles, repeating the same garbage over and over. Just apologize, be the bigger person. Show her you're strong enough to admit you're wrong. They package weakness as strength. They sell you this idea that somehow crawling on your knees makes you a real man. I read this, and I think, damn, have these people ever actually been in a real relationship? Or are they just repeating the advice their grandmother gave them to keep the house quiet? I remember myself when I was young, maybe 29. I was seeing this girl, a stunning beauty. We had been together for about a year and a half, and every time we had even the slightest disagreement, maybe I forgot to call when I promised, maybe I was late for dinner, I immediately apologized. Not because I thought I was guilty, you understand? But because I thought, this is what real men do. This is how you keep a woman happy. You say, sorry, you buy flowers, you promise to do better, and everything goes back to normal. But let me tell you what was actually happening. At first, yes, everything seemed fine. She would accept the apology. We would make up. We'd have great sex. And I would think to myself, see, this is how mature relationships work. But then something started to change. Very slowly. So slowly that I didn't even notice it at first. The fights started happening more often. The reasons became more and more ridiculous. Once she got offended because I liked another woman's photo on Instagram. Not even a provocative photo, just a picture of someone's vacation. Another time because I didn't notice she had trimmed the ends of her hair by 2 centimeters. And here is what was happening that I didn't understand back then. Every time I apologized, I was training her. Like Pavlov with his dogs, you know this experiment. Ring the bell, give food. Bell, food. Soon the dog salivates just at the sound of the bell. I was teaching her, being offended equals receiving submission from me. I was teaching her that a tantrum equals attention, apologies, gifts, and whatever else she desires. Understand one thing. When you constantly apologize, you are not demonstrating love. You are demonstrating submission. And let me ask you, when was the last time you saw a woman wildly attracted to a man she can completely control? Never. Women do not fantasize about the guy who answers everything with, yes, dear. Sorry, dear. You're right, dear. They fantasize about the man who stands his ground, who has his own opinion, who doesn't crumble into dust at the first sign of her displeasure. But here is where it gets really interesting, and this is something most men don't understand at all. There is a huge chasm between showing care and showing submission. When you truly care, what do? You make an effort to see her. Maybe you drive 3 hours just to spend one evening together. You remember what she likes. You surprise her with something thoughtful, not necessarily expensive, but something that shows you were thinking about her. You initiate things. You create experiences. You show desire. This is fundamentally different from apologizing every time her feelings get hurt. I'll tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. I have a friend, Alex. He was married for 5 years, and for 5 years, he apologized for everything. His wife would get upset, he apologized. She created drama out of thin air, he apologized. She literally invented problems just to watch him scramble to fix them. And do you know how it ended? She left him. Not for a bad boy who treated her poorly, but for a guy who simply didn't play these games. When I talked to Alex after the divorce, he kept saying, "But I always apologized. I always tried to make peace. I never let conflicts last long." And I told him, that is exactly why she left. You turned yourself into a doormat, and nobody respects a doormat. They just wipe their feet on it. Let me explain the mechanics of what happens inside a woman's head during these conflicts, because understanding this will change everything for you. Women have incredible emotional memory. They don't remember facts. They remember how they felt in that moment. So, when you apologize immediately after every conflict, she records this pattern. I got upset. He apologized. I won. This becomes an addiction. Literally, like the strongest stimulant. Drama creates adrenaline. Victory provides dopamine. Your submission gives a feeling of power. She gets hooked on this hormonal cocktail, and calm, steady relationships begin to seem dreadfully bland to her. Subconsciously, she wants to rock the boat again, just to feel that sharp rush of energy from your intense reaction. And, like with any addiction, she needs more and more to get the same high. So, the conflicts escalate. What started as resentment over you being 5 minutes late turns into full-blown warfare because you are breathing wrong. But here is what will really blow your mind. In most cases, these conflicts have nothing to do with what she claims they are about. When she is angry that you didn't notice her new earrings, it's not about the earrings. When she makes a scene because you went out with your friends, it's not really about the friends. These are tests, my friend. Constant checks. Are you still the man she thought you were? Or have you already turned into just another apology machine? You know what's funny? I discovered this completely by accident. I was seeing a woman incredibly beautiful, successful, the kind of woman men line up for. And one day, she started one of these manufactured dramas. Honestly, I don't even remember the reason. Something trivial, like I chose the wrong restaurant, and I was tired that day. I had been handing in a big project. My head was splitting. And when she started this theatre, I just looked at her and said, "Listen, if you don't like the restaurant, we can go somewhere else. But I am not going to apologize for trying to take you to a nice place. I made a decision. If you don't like it, suggest something else, but stop this drama." She was shocked, absolutely stunned. For maybe 30 seconds, she just stared at me like I had grown a second head. And then, do you know what happened? She laughed. She actually laughed and said, "Well, finally, there you are. I was wondering where the real you went." In that moment, I understood everything. All these months of petty bickering, all these scenes, she was looking for a backbone in me. She was waiting for me to stop being so convenient and show that I am a man with a position. She didn't want apologies. She wanted strength. She was subconsciously trying to shake my confidence, just to make sure I could withstand her emotional storm and not break. After all, if I crumble before a little tantrum in a restaurant, how the hell am I going to protect her from the real problems of this world? Now, I need to clarify one point, because I know there will be some wise guys who will misunderstand me. I am not talking about real mistakes that cause pain. If you actually screwed up, cheated, lied about something important, genuinely hurt her, then yes, you must acknowledge it and fix it. But that is radically different from apologizing every time she decides to be offended. Let's break down what actually causes conflicts. Because once you understand this, you will see the whole game differently. There are two categories of conflicts. First, you actually did something unacceptable. You ignored her for weeks, forgot an important date, said something nasty. These are real problems. They need to be solved. But the second category, and this is 90% of all fights, is when she blows a minor detail up to the scale of a catastrophe. Why? Many reasons. Sometimes she's bored, and drama is invigorating. Sometimes she is testing your strength. Sometimes she watched too many stupid romantic movies where couples fight passionately and then make up passionately. Sometimes her friend told her about problems in her family, and now she wants her own portion of drama to discuss. And here it is important to understand the chemistry. In a conflict, our bodies release a cocktail of hormones: adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol. This chemistry changes thinking. Adrenaline makes you run or freeze. Norepinephrine causes aggression. Cortisol causes stress and irrationality. When you are flooded with these substances, you cannot think clearly. You say things you don't mean. You promise things you won't do. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. And women are often even more susceptible to this influence due to higher emotional reactivity. For them, the emotion in the moment becomes the only reality, completely blocking any logical arguments. Therefore, trying to explain something rationally to her while this hormonal storm is raging is like trying to negotiate with a tsunami. You will just get swept away and no one will hear you. But here is the secret. If you can remain calm, if you don't let this chemistry flood your brain, you retain control of the situation. You see everything clearly. Is this a real problem, or is this theatre that needs to be shut down? I picked up this technique, strangely enough, from a documentary about wolves. When there is a conflict in the pack, the alpha doesn't immediately rush into a fight and doesn't tuck his tail. He stands his ground, calm, observant. He waits to understand. Is this a real challenge, or just posturing? Most of the time, it's just posturing, and his ice-cold calm is enough to end it. The same principle applies to women. When she starts drama, don't react instantly. Take a breath. Observe. Is she genuinely hurt by something important, or is she creating a spectacle? Your reaction should match reality, not the noise level she is creating. Do you want to know what really works after a fight? Not apologies, not flowers, not vows. What works is demonstrating through actions that you are still the man worth being with. You continue doing your business. You take care of yourself. You have your own life and interests. You show her, your drama does not destroy me. It does not control me. It does not define me. I remember once I got into a heavy argument with my wife. She was furious, I don't even remember why, and she turned on her favorite silent treatment game. The old me would have followed her around the apartment, begging her to talk, apologizing for everything under the sun. Instead, I just went to the gym, had a great workout, came back, and cooked myself a fantastic dinner. She was still demonstratively silent, so I called a friend and made plans for the weekend, then sat down to work on a project. By the evening, she approached me herself and asked, "Aren't you even going to ask what happened?" I calmly replied, "When you are ready to speak like an adult, I am here. Until then, I have things to do." The fight ended right at that second, without a single apology. She realized her tantrum wasn't working, and more importantly, she saw that I feel perfectly fine without her approval. This is insanely attractive to women, seeing a man nearby who doesn't need his wife as a crutch for emotional stability. Let's dig deeper into the chemistry. This is important. When a person is truly hurt, oxytocin and vasopressin are released, hormones of attachment and the pain of broken bonds. But artificial drama, that is dopamine and adrenaline, hormones of excitement and reward. When you apologize, you feed her dopamine loop. She gets her emotional fuel every time you bend. But when you don't play this game, you deprive her of this fuel. At first, she might increase the pressure. Like any addict deprived of their usual stimulus, she will try harder to get a reaction. This is exactly where most men break. She raises the stakes, they panic and apologize even harder. Mistake! This is the exact moment you need to stand firm. Don't be cruel. Don't ignore her existence. Simply do not engage in the drama. I understand you are upset. When you are ready to discuss this calmly, I am here. And go do your own thing. You know what's interesting? Women actually respect this. Deep down, they don't want a man they can manipulate with outbursts. They need someone stable, centered, who isn't blown away by every emotional gust. But there is another nuanced role dynamics. Some women are partners with whom you build a life. Others are muses, inspiration, bright flashes. Your reaction depends on the role. If she is a partner, you solve real problems together. But even then, you don't apologize for made-up drama. You speak like adults. If she is a muse, if she is there for beauty and emotion, her drama shouldn't touch you at all. She is there to bring joy, not stress. If she brings more chaos than joy, what is the point? I had a colleague at work who had a romance with an artist. A talented woman, beautiful, but absolutely unpredictable. Every week a new tragedy, a new reason to demand proofs of love. At first, he played along because the reconciliations were very intense. But then he realized he was spending more time managing her emotions than living his own life. So he changed tactics. As soon as the drama started, he simply left. Not with anger. He just told her, "I see you're not in the mood. I'll leave you to process this. Call me when it gets better." And he went to live his life. Sometimes she called in an hour, sometimes in a day, but she always called. And, the drama gradually faded away, simply because no one was giving a reward for it anymore. Remember, behavior that is rewarded is repeated. You reward a tantrum with attention, you get more tantrums. You reward calm conversation with attention, you get more conversation. So, what should you do instead of apologizing? Here is a concrete plan. First, assess your behavior honestly, objectively. Are you actually at fault? If yes, admit and correct. This is not an apology. This is responsibility. "I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad." That is submission. "You are right. I should have called. Next time I will do so." That is responsibility. Feel the difference? Women respect responsibility, but despise groveling. Second, look for patterns. Is she angry about the same thing? Either you are being slow and not fixing the problem, or it is a manipulation tool. Real problems get solved. Manipulations return forever. Third, maintain composure. This doesn't mean being a robot. It means not letting her emotions dictate yours. If she screams, you don't scream back, but you don't shrink into a ball either. You are a rock. I learned this from my grandfather. My grandmother was a fiery woman. She could make some noise. Granddad would just sit, smoking his pipe, waiting for the storm to settle. Then he would calmly ask, "Are you finished?" "Excellent. What's for dinner?" Grandma often laughed at that moment, realizing the absurdity of her explosion. She respected him because her emotions couldn't move him. Fourth, understand that making peace does not mean apologizing. Peace is a return to harmony. Sometimes through conversation, sometimes through time, but rarely through submission. You want her to make peace first. Stop making her victory so easy. No reward, no behavior. This is basic psychology. Fifth, and most important, invest energy in creation, not reaction. Instead of spending hours fixing her mood, spend that time creating something cool. Plan a trip, work on your business. Women are attracted to builders, creators. When you are in apology mode, you are in defense. You aren't building anything. You are just patching holes. That is pathetic. And yes, I almost forgot. A few words about intimacy after a fight. Many couples think it is the most intense in those moments. Why? Stress hormones pump the blood. But this is a trap. If you apologize and then get access to her body, you cement the chain. Drama is greater than your humiliation, is greater than reward. Instead, hold the frame, don't bend, and then initiate closeness from a position of strength. You show, your drama didn't touch me, but I still want you. This breaks her template. She expected your failure, but got your strength and passion. This turns women on like crazy because it is unexpected and masculine. And one more thing. Sometimes a woman creates conflict to get distance. She needs space, but she doesn't know how to say it directly. If you climb in with apologies, you smother her even more. The correct reaction? Give her an ocean of space. Disappear. Focus on yourself. Either she will miss you and return, or she won't, and then you will know the relationship is over. I had a relationship end this way. She created drama. I gave distance. After 2 weeks, I realized she wasn't coming back to harmony. She needed war to feel alive, and I needed peace. We were incompatible. No amount of apologies would have fixed that. If you are with a woman who is addicted to drama, this happens if she grew up in chaos. You have two paths: accept life on a volcano or leave, but you cannot apologize your way to a quiet life. It is a bottomless pit. When you stop apologizing for everything, one of two things will happen. Either she will start respecting you, and the relationship will get drastically better, or she won't be able to handle the loss of control and will leave. In both cases, you win. You either get a healthy relationship based on respect or freedom from a manipulator. Train your reaction. Count to 10 inches your head before responding to her outburst. By 10, you will see the situation clearly. This is a muscle that needs to be pumped up with every argument. Stop seeing conflict as a catastrophe. Conflict is information. It is data about her fears, desires, and methods of manipulation. Don't throw this data away by trying to just drown out the noise with apologies. Study it with curiosity. Interesting. Why is she reacting like this? What is actually happening? An analytical approach will save you from being emotionally hijacked. Remember the main thing. She will not make peace first if you have trained her that you always do it. You created this pattern. You have to break it. Will it be hard? Yes. She might be silent for days, blackmail you with intimacy, threaten to leave. These are all tests. She is poking the lion with a stick to check if he is alive. If you keep your self-control, magic happens. She will see the man in you again. Next time a fight happens and she is waiting for you to come crawling, stop. Assess the situation. If you aren't guilty, don't play her games. Keep your calm, live your life, and watch how the dynamic changes. Will she make the first move? Sooner or later, yes. If she realizes that the old methods don't work, stop apologizing for being a man. Stop apologizing for having boundaries. Become that rock she can lean on and that she can respect. That is the whole secret. No more flowers, no more promises. Only solid masculine composure. This is the path to respect, and respect is the only path to real love. Everything else is just manipulation. Choose strength. Listen, most men will just close this video right now and continue making the same mistakes. They will apologize again, bend over backwards, and wonder why they aren't respected. Don't be one of them. If you want to understand real relationship psychology, not sweet fairy tales, subscribe to the channel Psycheria. Here we break down what others are afraid to say out loud. Hit subscribe and the bell icon right now, because the truth can be uncomfortable, but only the truth makes you truly free. See you in the next video.